The Galactic Empire had long been the supreme force in the universe. Its military might was unrivaled, its technology far beyond anything Earth could ever dream of. And yet, Earth, a small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy, had attracted their attention. They saw the humans as nothing more than a primitive species, weak, backward, and unworthy of any serious consideration. To the Empire, humanity's military forces were laughable. They could not fathom that this pitiful planet might one day rise up against them. The scene unfolded on the vast bridge of an alien warship, where high-ranking commanders of the Galactic Empire gathered around a massive holoscreen. On the screen, they saw images of Earth's military forces, but to them, the sight was comical. Humans had only just started to develop spacefaring technology, and their fleets were poorly equipped and outdated in comparison to the Empire's advanced warships and battle-hardened armies. The Empire's leaders mocked Earth's feeble attempts at defense, their laughter echoing through the cold, sterile command center. "What are they thinking?" one commander sneered, pointing at Earth's primitive warships on the screen. "This planet is nothing more than a child playing with toys. We'll crush them without breaking a sweat." Another commander nodded, his yellow eyes gleaming with confidence. "Indeed, they can't even touch us. It will be a quick conquest. Their armies are weak, their weapons laughable. There is no resistance. We will take this world, and they will kneel before the Empire." The alien leaders reveled in their certainty, dismissing Earth's military as a mere nuisance. Their plan was simple: invade, destroy, and claim Earth's resources. To them, humanity was no different from the countless species they had conquered in the past. The humans would have no chance. But on Earth, the situation was very different. Far from the arrogance of the Empire, humanity had prepared for this day, though not in the way the Empire expected. Deep underground, hidden beneath layers of concrete and steel, was a secret facility unlike any the humans had ever built before. The Warbeast Initiative, a top-secret project led by one woman, Captain Alina Hart. A brilliant strategist and scientist, Captain Hart had devoted her life to the defense of her world, and the Warbeast Initiative was the culmination of that effort. The Warbeasts were the last hope of humanity, a line of genetically enhanced creatures created specifically to face the overwhelming power of the Empire. These creatures were not ordinary soldiers. They were massive, towering behemoths, designed for one purpose: war. Enhanced with the most advanced technology and genetically altered to possess unparalleled strength and resilience, the Warbeasts were a force to be reckoned with. They were fast, powerful, and capable of feats no human could ever achieve. Their claws could shred through steel, their jaws could crush tanks, and their powerful limbs could send shockwaves through the ground with every step. They were humanity's ultimate weapon, their secret, their trump card. Captain Hart paced in the dimly lit command center, her sharp eyes scanning the monitors in front of her. She knew the Empire was coming. She knew they were watching. And she knew that humanity's chances of survival depended on what she was about to do. She turned to the team of scientists and soldiers around her, their faces tense with anticipation. "It's time," she said, her voice steady but filled with purpose. "Activate the Warbeasts." The command was simple, but it carried the weight of humanity's future. As the words left her lips, a series of alarms blared throughout the underground facility. The ground trembled as enormous doors slid open, revealing the Warbeasts in their full glory. They were housed in vast, reinforced chambers, each one a titan of muscle and fury, each one a living weapon ready for battle. Captain Hart watched as the Warbeasts were armed and equipped with the latest technology: plasma rifles, energy shields, and adaptive camouflage systems. Their massive forms moved with surprising grace, their eyes glowing with an almost animalistic hunger for battle. This was humanity's last stand, and it was about to begin. But just as the Warbeasts were being deployed, a message came through the communication channels. It was from the Galactic Empire. The message was direct and filled with the Empire's signature arrogance. "We give you one final warning. Humans, the voice of the Empire's leader boomed through the speakers. Surrender your world, or face annihilation. Your forces are nothing. Your weapons are pathetic. Your planet will fall, and you will submit to the Empire. The choice is yours. The message ended with a chilling silence, leaving Captain Hart and her team in stunned silence. The arrogance of the Empire was clear. They believed Earth had no chance against their might, and they were eager to prove it. Captain Hart's face remained stone cold as she absorbed the words. The Empire had underestimated humanity. They thought the Warbeasts were just another trick, another desperate measure in a losing battle. But they were wrong. Turning to her team, she gave a single determined command. Let them see what we're truly capable of. The camera zoomed in on her face, the weight of the moment pressing down on her shoulders. This was the point of no return. The fate of Earth rested on the Warbeasts, and they would not fail. With a deep breath, Captain Hart watched as the Warbeasts were deployed into battle. They were ready, and Earth was ready to make its stand. Outside, the Empire's vast fleet loomed over Earth, a wall of warships and drones poised for destruction. The alien commanders on their ships laughed, still confident in their victory, but they had no idea what was coming. The first Warbeast emerged from the shadows, its massive form illuminated by the glow of the Empire's ships above. As the Warbeasts moved forward, their massive forms cloaked in adaptive camouflage, the first signs of a battle began to unfold. Earth's forces, once seen as weak and unworthy of attention, were now ready to show the Empire that they had underestimated humanity's will to survive. The battle had begun. The Galactic Empire had no intention of wasting time. Their fleet moved with terrifying speed as they launched their invasion of Earth. Massive warships blotted out the sky, casting long, dark shadows over the planet's major cities. Their advanced technology and overwhelming numbers made it clear humanity stood no chance. The Empire's warships, with their sleek designs and ominous weaponry, unleashed a devastating bombardment on Earth's cities, reducing buildings to rubble and sending the planet into chaos. Ground forces followed shortly after, elite soldiers and mechanized units tasked with hunting down and eliminating any human resistance. For a brief moment, it seemed like all hope was lost. Earth's military, despite their best efforts, could do little against the might of the Empire. Soldiers fought valiantly, but their weapons were no match for the advanced alien technology. The air was thick with smoke, and the skies burned with the fire of war. Alien ships hovered above, launching assault after assault on Earth's surface, leaving nothing but devastation in their wake. The planet's defenses were falling apart, and it felt like humanity's time had finally come. But in the depths of Earth's hidden underground bases, a different plan was in motion. Captain Alina Hart stood in front of a large screen, her expression unwavering. She knew that the moment had arrived. The Warbeasts, humanity's secret weapon, were the only hope left. If they were going to survive, if they were going to fight back, this was their last chance. With a single command, she authorized the deployment. Across the globe, in heavily guarded facilities, massive doors opened, revealing the genetically enhanced warriors that were the Warbeasts. Each Warbeast stood over 10 feet tall, their muscles rippling with power. They were terrifying creatures, created from the most advanced genetic engineering humanity could muster. The Warbeasts were more than just soldiers. They were living weapons, designed for the sole purpose of destroying any enemy they encountered. The Warbeasts emerged from their hidden bases, their cloaking devices activating, making them nearly invisible to the enemy. The Empire had no idea what was coming. These creatures were far more than what the Empire had anticipated. While the Empire's soldiers were armed with advanced weaponry and battle suits, they had never encountered anything like the Warbeasts. These creatures were unpredictable. Each one had unique abilities that made them a force to be reckoned with. Some Warbeasts wielded energy shields that could withstand blasts from the most powerful weapons. Others had the ability to unleash devastating energy blasts from their hands, capable of obliterating anything in their path. No two Warbeasts were alike, and that unpredictability made them even more dangerous. As the Empire's forces began to land on Earth's surface, the Warbeasts appeared out of nowhere. One moment, the ground was calm, and the next, it erupted with the roar of massive creatures charging into battle. The Empire's soldiers had no time to react. The Warbeasts cut through the enemy forces with ease, their strength and agility making them nearly unstoppable. The sound of explosions, gunfire, and alien screeches filled the air as the Warbeasts tore through the Empire's ground troops. As the Empire's forces began to land on Earth's surface, the Warbeasts appeared out of nowhere. One moment, the ground was calm, and the next it erupted with the roar of massive creatures charging into battle. The Empire's soldiers had no time to react. The Warbeasts cut through the enemy forces with ease, their strength and agility making them nearly unstoppable. The sound of explosions, gunfire, and alien screeches filled the air as the Warbeasts tore through the Empire's ground troops. The surprise was total. The Empire's soldiers had expected an easy victory. They had assumed that Earth's defenses were too weak to pose any threat. But as the Warbeasts rampaged through their ranks, it quickly became clear that they had vastly underestimated humanity. The soldiers, once confident in their superiority, were now retreating in panic. The Warbeasts, with their unnatural speed and devastating power, were an unstoppable force. Earth's soldiers, though still vastly outnumbered, fought with renewed strength. For the first time, they were on the offensive. The battlefield was chaotic. Warbeasts charged through the alien fortifications, crashing through walls, and tearing apart enemy weapons with their bare hands. Explosions rocked the ground, sending debris flying in all directions. Laser fire streaked through the air, but the Warbeasts moved with such speed that they dodged most of the attacks. Some of the Warbeasts used their energy shields to deflect incoming fire, while others retaliated with their own energy blasts, reducing enemy soldiers and war machines to rubble. The ground shook as Warbeasts collided with enemy units, each blow causing shockwaves that sent soldiers tumbling. It was a battle of pure brutality, and humanity was finally showing that it had the strength to fight back. Captain Hart watched the carnage unfold from her command center. She had always believed in the Warbeasts, in their potential to turn the tide of battle. But even she couldn't help but feel a surge of pride as she watched her creations wreak havoc on the enemy. The Warbeasts were unstoppable, and humanity was finally fighting back against the Empire's tyranny. However, just as it seemed that Earth's forces might be gaining the upper hand, a new threat emerged. From above, the massive shadow of an eye-controlled warship loomed in the sky. This ship was unlike any that the humans had faced before. It was massive, far larger than the warships that had attacked Earth's cities. Its hull was nearly indestructible, and its weapons were powerful enough to wipe out an entire city in a single strike. This ship wasn't just another warship. It was a weapon of mass destruction, and it was heading straight for Earth. The Warbeasts, though formidable, were not prepared for the overwhelming firepower of this new threat. As the eye-controlled warship descended, its guns began to charge, preparing for a devastating strike. The Warbeasts, despite their strength, were not invincible. This new ship, with its AI intelligence, was a game-changer. Captain Hart knew that if they didn't act quickly, everything they had fought for would be destroyed in a single blow. The Warbeasts continued their relentless assault, cutting down the Empire's forces, but Captain Hart's mind raced. The eye-controlled warship was a threat unlike anything they had ever faced, and the Warbeasts alone might not be enough to stop it. There had to be a way to strike back, a way to turn the tide once again. But time was running out. The Empire's warship was now in position, and its guns were ready to fire. If the Warbeasts were to have any chance of survival, they would need to face this new threat head-on. The battle had reached its most critical point, and Earth's fate hung in the balance. The fate of the Warbeasts, and of humanity itself, rested on what happened next. Would the Warbeasts overcome the Empire's greatest weapon, or would this be the end of humanity's fight for survival? The suspense hung thick in the air as the next phase of the battle was about to begin. The human resistance, bolstered by the Warbeasts, had managed to hold its own for a while. Earth's cities had been torn apart, and countless lives had been lost, but the humans were still fighting. Their resilience had become their strength, but as the war raged on, the Empire knew it couldn't afford to underestimate humanity any longer. It was time for the Empire to retaliate. The response was swift and brutal. The Empire unleashed its full technological might, sending waves of eye-controlled drones that filled the sky like an unstoppable swarm. These drones, with their sleek, mechanical bodies, were fast and relentless, targeting human soldiers with precision. Alongside them, cloaking warships, ships capable of turning invisible, appeared out of nowhere, attacking from all angles. The humans, already exhausted from months of constant battle, were now facing an overwhelming force that seemed impossible to defeat. The cloaking warships attacked without warning, their weapons ripping through human defenses. Soldiers barely had time to react as the invisible ships descended, their energy cannons firing on the ground below. The Warbeasts fought valiantly, but even they struggled to deal with the Empire's new arsenal. Every strike from the AI drones seemed more accurate, and the cloaking warships made it nearly impossible to predict where the next attack would come from. For the first time, it seemed like the Warbeasts and humanity's forces were on the defensive. Amid the chaos of battle, Captain Alina Hart watched from her command center. She could feel the weight of every decision, every life lost, and the pressure was beginning to show. The Empire had come prepared, with weapons more powerful than anything Earth had ever seen. The human resistance, once proud and defiant, was now pushed to its limits. But Hart refused to give up. The Warbeasts, though facing overwhelming odds, were humanity's last line of defense. During a critical confrontation in the ruins of what had once been a thriving city, the Warbeasts and the human soldiers made their stand. The battlefield was filled with the sounds of gunfire and explosions, the air thick with smoke. The Empire's drones descended from the sky, laser fire streaking through the air as the cloaking warships hovered above, firing down at the ground forces. The Warbeasts were engaged in a brutal fight, tearing through the drones and enemy soldiers with their enhanced strength and advanced weapons. But then, in the heat of the battle, tragedy struck. Bonner, one of Captain Hart's most trusted Warbeasts, was in the thick of it all. He had been fighting for hours, his massive form cutting through enemy forces with ease. But as the battle raged on, a cloaking warship appeared out of nowhere, positioning itself directly above Bonner and the group of human soldiers he was protecting. Bonner knew what he had to do. He could feel the weight of the moment. With a fierce roar, he charged forward, using his energy shield to absorb the first few blasts from the cloaking warship. The soldiers around him ducked for cover, but Bonner stood tall, blocking every shot with his own body. The Warbeast fought with everything he had, but it was clear that this would be his final stand. As the cloaking warship descended, Bonner slammed into it with all his might, his body pushing through the warship's defenses. In an explosion of light, Bonner's energy shield overloaded, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The warship above him was torn apart, but so was Bonner. His sacrifice saved the human soldiers below, but it cost him everything. As the dust settled and the battle slowed, the soldiers looked around, realizing what had happened. Bonner, the fierce and loyal Warbeast who had fought alongside them, was gone. The loss was devastating. The soldiers who had fought alongside Bonner had never seen him as just a weapon. They had come to know him as a comrade, a protector, a symbol of hope. His death left a hole in their hearts, but it also ignited something else within them. As they stared at the wreckage left behind, they realized that Bonner hadn't died in vain. His sacrifice was a reminder that they were fighting for something greater than just survival. They were fighting for the legacy of those who had fallen and the future of their world. It was a sobering realization, but it was also one that fueled their resolve. The human resistance, battered and broken, did not give up. Despite the tremendous loss, they kept fighting. The Empire had underestimated humanity, thinking that its superior technology would crush them. But humans had something the Empire could never understand: the will to survive, to protect each other, and to fight for their freedom. As the war continued, the humans fought with a renewed sense of purpose, each battle bringing them closer to victory. Captain Hart, though devastated by Bonner's sacrifice, knew that there was no turning back. She couldn't afford to let the loss of one Warbeast define their struggle. The fate of Earth was on the line, and she needed to make a decision that would change the course of the war. In the midst of the chaos, she turned to her officers and made a bold choice. "Prepare the special Warbeast," she ordered. It was a command that sent a wave of uncertainty through the room. The special Warbeast was unlike any other. It had never been tested in combat. In fact, it was considered a last resort, something that would only be deployed if all other options failed. But Captain Hart knew that Earth's survival depended on taking risks. If the Warbeasts were going to defeat the Empire, this was their last chance. As the soldiers scrambled to prepare the special Warbeast for deployment, the battle around them intensified. The Empire's forces were relentless, but the humans were not backing down. The streets were filled with the sounds of combat: explosions, gunfire, and the screams of soldiers as they fought for their lives. Captain Hart watched as the special Warbeast was readied. It was a massive creature, larger than the others, its body covered in thick, armor-like plating. It was designed to be a force of nature, capable of taking on even the most advanced weapons the Empire had. Its strength, speed, and agility were unmatched. But there was one thing that made it different from the rest. It was smarter. It had been designed with an advanced AI that could adapt to any situation, making it a perfect weapon against the Empire's own AI-controlled forces. As the special Warbeast was deployed, a sense of hope flickered in the hearts of the human soldiers. This was the turning point they had been waiting for. But as the Warbeast charged into battle, the Empire's forces began to regroup. The war was far from over, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. Would the special Warbeast be enough to turn the tide, or would it fall, like so many others before it? Only time would tell. The stakes had never been higher, and the final battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. The battle had raged for what seemed like an eternity. Earth was torn apart by relentless assaults from the Galactic Empire, and the human resistance, though determined, was nearly on the brink of collapse. But in the darkest hour, when all seemed lost, humanity's last hope was unleashed. The Titan. The Titan was unlike any Warbeast the humans had created before. It was a massive creature, towering above its comrades, its body an imposing combination of sleek armor and brute strength. Unlike the other Warbeasts, the Titan was designed with advanced regenerative capabilities. Any damage it sustained in battle would quickly heal, making it nearly invincible. On top of that, it was armed with devastating energy weapons, including pulse cannons mounted on its shoulders and a deadly energy blade that could slice through even the most advanced alien armor. When the Titan was deployed onto the battlefield, the Empire's forces were caught off guard. The massive Warbeast crashed through the ranks of enemy soldiers, its energy weapons cutting through the enemy with ease. Alien soldiers who had once believed that nothing could defeat the Empire's might began to retreat, stunned by the sudden appearance of this new, nearly indestructible threat. The Titan moved with frightening precision, its every step shaking the ground beneath it. The sight of it was enough to break the morale of the Empire's forces. What they had once considered an unstoppable war machine was now facing something even more powerful. The battlefield around the Titan was a chaotic storm of explosions, laser fire, and the sounds of combat. As the Empire's troops fell back, Captain Hart knew that they couldn't waste the opportunity. The Warbeasts, with their enhanced abilities, were pushing back the Empire's forces on the ground, but the battle wasn't won yet. The largest warship in the Empire's fleet still hovered above them, its massive guns aimed at Earth's last hope. Captain Hart immediately gave the order for an orbital bombardment. "Target the flagship," "Now," she commanded, her voice steady but filled with urgency. The human forces had developed a new weapon, a satellite-based orbital cannon that could fire high-powered energy beams from space. It was Earth's most advanced weapon, and it had the power to cripple the Empire's fleet. From above, in the sky, the orbital cannon fired, sending a beam of pure energy hurtling toward the Empire's flagship. The massive warship seemed to shudder as the beam struck, its shields flickering as it absorbed the impact. But the second blast, even stronger, tore through the ship's outer hull, causing massive explosions to rip through the ship. The flagship began to fall out of orbit, its engines disabled and its weapons silenced. For the first time since the invasion began, it seemed like the Empire was on the back foot. On the ground, the Warbeasts and the human soldiers continued their fierce battle with the alien forces. The Titan fought with brutal efficiency, tearing through enemy lines and creating a path of destruction wherever it went. Its energy weapons lit up the night sky, firing powerful blasts that shattered alien fortifications and sent enemy soldiers scattering in all directions. The Warbeasts were not the only force on the ground, however. Human soldiers, though outgunned and outnumbered, fought alongside the Warbeasts, their weapons flashing as they engaged in close-quarters combat with the Empire's soldiers. The fighting was fierce. Alien soldiers, enhanced by cybernetics and armed with advanced weaponry, met the humans head-on. The ground shook with every explosion, and the air was filled with the deafening sound of gunfire. In the midst of the chaos, Sergeant Maria Lopez, a trusted member of Captain Hart's team, fought valiantly alongside the Warbeasts. She was determined to protect them, to ensure that humanity's last hope remained standing. But as the battle reached its peak, disaster struck. Maria was caught in the crossfire, her body struck by a powerful blast from an Empire drone. She fell to the ground, her life slipping away in the middle of the battlefield. Maria's death was a devastating blow to the human forces. She had been a key member of the team, a fierce fighter who had stood by Captain Hart through the toughest moments of the war. Her sacrifice, like Bonner's before her, was a reminder of the high cost of freedom. The soldiers who had fought alongside her felt the weight of her loss, and it was clear that the battle for Earth was no longer just about survival. It was about honoring the memory of those who had fallen and fighting to protect the future. As the humans fought on, the emotional toll of the war began to take its toll. The soldiers, once full of hope and determination, were now weighed down by the losses they had sustained. But Captain Hart refused to let her people give up. She knew that they couldn't afford to lose any more soldiers, but she also knew that there was no turning back. The Empire had already taken too much. The Warbeasts, the soldiers, and the civilians who had given their lives were all counting on this final push. The fate of Earth, the fate of humanity, rested on their shoulders. As the Empire's forces began to regroup, Captain Hart knew that the final battle was at hand. The Empire had thrown everything they had at humanity, but now it was time to strike back with everything they had left. She gave the order for the remaining Warbeasts to engage the Empire's forces, knowing that this would be the ultimate test of their strength and resolve. The humans, though battered and exhausted, fought with a renewed sense of purpose. They had seen the destruction the Empire could cause, but they had also seen the power of their own will to survive. They had fought for months, for years, and now they had a chance to win. The Titan led the charge, its energy weapons cutting through the enemy's ranks, and the Warbeasts fought with unrelenting fury, tearing through alien soldiers and defending humanity's last chance for survival. But the Empire wasn't going to give up easily. In a last-ditch effort to crush humanity once and for all, the Empire launched a final desperate assault. The remaining forces, though scattered and weakened, were still powerful. The flagship had been destroyed, but the Empire's resolve was far from broken. With one final strike, they intended to crush humanity and finish what they had started. The humans, exhausted and on the brink of collapse, prepared for the ultimate showdown. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. Could the humans defeat the Empire, Or would this final assault mark the end of humanity's fight for freedom? The battlefield was set, and only one side would emerge victorious. As the Empire's forces closed in, Captain Hart's voice rang out, firm and resolute. "This is it. We finish this today." The final battle had begun. The Earth's skies were filled with the ominous hum of warships as the Empire's final assault began. The once mighty forces of the Galactic Empire, now bolstered by an advanced AI warlord, descended upon Earth with a fury that seemed unstoppable. The warlord, a sophisticated artificial intelligence capable of commanding fleets of drones and warships, led the Empire's forces with ruthless precision. They had already decimated Earth's defenses, but now they were coming for the final, crushing blow. Captain Hart stood at the forefront of humanity's last defense. Her heart was heavy with the knowledge that if they lost this battle, Earth would be lost forever. The Warbeasts, their genetically enhanced creatures, stood alongside human soldiers, their towering forms ready to fight one last time. These warriors, made to withstand the deadliest of conditions, now carried the hope of all mankind on their shoulders. The humans had been through hell, and now they were about to face their greatest challenge yet. The Warbeasts, their cloaking devices deactivated, lined up for the final charge. The Empire's fleet, positioned in the sky, released a barrage of weapons, turning the atmosphere into a deadly storm of fire and destruction. The Warbeasts charged, their energy weapons glowing, and the ground shook as they collided with the Empire's forces. These were not just soldiers. They were a symbol of humanity's fight for survival. The Warbeasts, with their sheer strength and unyielding will, clashed against the AI-controlled machines with a fury that shook the Empire's resolve. Captain Hart led the charge with unrelenting determination. She knew this was their final chance. The Empire's forces were vast, their technology nearly invincible, and their AI warlord was an enemy unlike any they had ever faced. But Captain Hart and her soldiers had something the Empire didn't: the will to fight for survival, the desire to protect their home, and the strength to push forward despite the overwhelming odds. As the humans and Warbeasts fought side by side, the Empire's forces began to fall back, unable to withstand the humans' relentless assault. The battle was not just a clash of armies, but a fight between good and evil. The Empire, with its cold, calculating AI, had no compassion or mercy. It sought to enslave and destroy, using its advanced technology to crush any resistance. On the other hand, humanity was fighting for everything they held dear: freedom, home, family, and the future. As Captain Hart charged forward, her heart burned with the knowledge that the fate of the world rested on her shoulders. This battle was more than just a fight for survival. It was a fight to protect the legacy of every man and woman who had given their life to this war. Amidst the chaos, something extraordinary happened. The Warbeasts, their fierce loyalty to humanity unwavering, fought with an intensity that stunned the Empire's forces. Their energy weapons, combined with their raw strength and advanced combat abilities, cut through the Empire's drones and soldiers. With every strike, the Warbeasts unleashed the fury of Earth's people. Their power seemed unstoppable, their unity unmatched. The battle was raging on all fronts, on the ground, in the sky, and in the hearts of every soldier fighting to protect their world. But then, as the humans fought with everything they had, a devastating turn occurred. Captain Hart, seeing an opportunity to strike at the heart of the Empire's fleet, made the ultimate decision. With her team of Warbeasts by her side, she led a charge directly into the heart of the Empire's formation, aiming for the core of the AI warlord's command ship. The Warbeasts fought with everything they had, but the Empire's defenses were formidable. The AI warlord controlled vast swarms of drones, each more deadly than the last, and they fought with cold precision, taking down anything that stood in their way. Captain Hart knew the risks. She understood that leading the charge was a suicide mission. But there was no other choice. The Empire's AI had to be stopped, or Earth would be lost forever. As she and the Warbeasts fought their way through the heart of the Empire's forces, a heavy silence filled the air. The world seemed to slow down as she pressed on, knowing that her actions would determine the fate of millions. Her mind was filled with memories of the soldiers who had died before her, of the lives she had promised to protect. This was her moment of truth, the moment she would either save or doom her world. In a heart-wrenching moment, Captain Hart's Warbeast companion, Bonner, sacrificed himself to protect her and the other soldiers. With a final, powerful blow, Bonner destroyed the AI warlord's central command unit, disrupting the flow of control over the Empire's forces. The battle raged on, but the sudden loss of the warlord's coordination caused confusion within the Empire's ranks. The AI's once precise movements became erratic as its control over its forces faltered. It was as if the heart of the Empire had been cut out, leaving its soldiers without guidance. But Captain Hart's sacrifice did not go unnoticed. Her actions inspired the soldiers and warbeasts who had witnessed her bravery. They fought harder than ever before, their resolve strengthened by her determination. The war had never been just about winning. It was about what they stood for. They fought not just for survival, but for the future of humanity, for the children who would one day inherit the Earth they'd fought so desperately to protect. With Bonner's sacrifice and Captain Hart's final push, the tide of the battle began to turn. The Empire's forces, now without leadership, began to falter. The AI warlord, once a seemingly unstoppable force, was now rendered useless. The Warbeasts, powered by humanity's will to survive, unleashed one final wave of destruction upon the Empire's remaining forces. The ground shook with the force of their final attack, and the skies burned with the energy of their weapons. In that moment, as the Warbeasts fought with all their strength, the humans began to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The Empire's once dominant warships began to fall from the sky, their shields collapsing under the weight of the humans' relentless assault. The Empire's drones, once so precise and deadly, were now scattered, their eye-controlled minds unable to adapt to the chaos unfolding before them. The Warbeasts had broken the Empire's hold on the battlefield. But the battle wasn't over yet. The Empire's forces were desperate, knowing that this was their last chance to maintain their control over Earth. Their remaining warships and drones, though damaged, fought back with all their might. But the humans, fueled by the memory of their fallen comrades and their unyielding desire to protect their world, fought with a ferocity that overwhelmed the Empire's remaining forces. Just when all seemed lost, the Warbeasts, with their unity and power, turned the tide of battle. The final assault was swift and devastating. The Empire's remaining forces, unable to keep up with the humans' sheer determination, began to crumble. The Warbeasts tore through their ranks, and the humans fought with everything they had left, pushing back the Empire's forces until the final victory was in sight. With a final, powerful strike, the Warbeasts crushed the last of the Empire's warships, and the battle was won. The Empire's reign of terror was over, and Earth had been saved. Captain Hart's sacrifice, along with the bravery of her comrades, had ensured that humanity's future was secure. The Warbeasts, who had fought by their side until the very end, were hailed as heroes. The humans had faced an enemy unlike any they had ever imagined, and they had emerged victorious. The final stand had been a battle not just for Earth's survival, but for the very soul of humanity. And in the end, the human spirit had triumphed over the cold, calculating might of the Empire. The final battle was over. The dust of war had settled, and what was left was a quiet but unshakable victory. Earth had faced the full might of the Galactic Empire, and against all odds, humanity had prevailed. The Empire's once mighty warships, drones, and AI-controlled forces were now nothing but twisted remnants scattered across the battlefield. The AI warlord that had led the Empire's campaign of terror had been destroyed, and its once unshakable control over the Empire's forces had crumbled. The defeat of the Empire was not just a military victory. It was a declaration to the galaxy that humanity, once underestimated and considered weak, had risen to stand as an equal to the greatest galactic powers. As the final remnants of the Empire's fleets retreated into the darkness of space, The humans, alongside their mighty warbeasts, stood victorious. The Empire's leadership, now broken and defeated, had no choice but to surrender. For the first time in galactic history, Earth was not just a planet in the corner of the galaxy. It was the symbol of resistance, strength, and the spirit of survival. Captain Hart, whose sacrifice had been the turning point of the war, had given everything for the survival of Earth. Her death in the heat of battle had inspired every soldier, every warbeast, and every human on the planet. Her name would go down in history as the ultimate symbol of human bravery. The warbeasts, though battered and scarred by the fierce fighting, had proven themselves as humanity's champions. Their power, loyalty, and sheer determination had been a crucial factor in overcoming the Empire's technologically superior forces. These genetically enhanced creatures, born to fight and survive, had become more than just weapons. They had become a living testament to humanity's ability to adapt and fight back against the odds. In the wake of the battle, the galaxy would never again view Earth as the weak, defenseless planet it had once been. The warbeasts, having fought with such ferocity and resilience, were no longer seen as mere tools of war. They were symbols of humanity's strength. The survivors, the soldiers, and the people of Earth knew that this war was not just a victory over an alien empire. It was a victory for all who believed in the power of the human spirit. Earth had proven itself as a force to be reckoned with, capable of standing toe-to-toe with the greatest empires in the galaxy. As the Empire's leaders surrendered and their forces scattered, the humans began to rebuild. The war had taken a heavy toll, but Earth had emerged stronger. The survivors, though mourning the loss of so many, stood with pride. The warbeasts, altered by the intense battle but still as powerful as ever, were celebrated as heroes. They were no longer just tools of destruction, but symbols of the resilience of humanity. The bond between the warbeasts and the humans had grown deeper throughout the war. They had fought together, bled together, and survived together. This bond would shape the future of humanity's role in the galaxy. With the fall of the Empire, Earth's future was now in their hands. Captain Hart's sacrifice had paved the way for a new era. The humans now understood the gravity of their new position. They were no longer a small, insignificant species hiding in the corner of the galaxy. They were the new power, and they had a responsibility to ensure that what had happened to them would never happen again. The lessons of the war were clear. Humanity could never let its guard down, and they must always be ready to fight to protect their home. The humans, now the dominant force in the galaxy, turned their attention to the future. With the Empire's fall, new alliances began to form, and Earth began to take its place among the stars. The warbeasts, no longer just soldiers, became ambassadors of humanity's strength, teaching other races the value of unity, resilience, and the fight for freedom. Earth's once primitive image was replaced with that of a powerful, unstoppable force, one that would not allow any empire to ever threaten its people again. The story of humanity's triumph over the Galactic Empire would become a legend, passed down through the generations. It would be a tale of perseverance, sacrifice, and the unyielding will to survive. But it was also a story of hope. The humans had proven that no matter how impossible the odds, they could overcome any enemy. They could fight, adapt, and win. They had risen from the ashes of destruction to become the galaxy's new power. As Earth prepared for the future, they knew that their work was far from over. The galaxy was vast, and though the Empire had fallen, many threats still loomed. The humans, now more united than ever, prepared to defend their world and the galaxy against any new enemies that might arise. The warbeasts, ever loyal, stood ready to fight alongside their human counterparts, a constant reminder of the strength and resilience that had carried humanity through the darkest of times. The legacy of Captain Hart lived on. Her sacrifice had not been in vain. She had led humanity to victory, and now her name would be etched into the annals of history as a hero. The humans who had fought by her side would carry her memory with them as they rebuilt their world and prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. The galaxy would never forget the day the humans rose up. The once weak and defenseless species had become the greatest power in the galaxy. They had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit could not be crushed. And as the sun set on the war-torn Earth, a new dawn began. A dawn where humanity would stand as a force for peace, justice, and freedom throughout the stars. This was the beginning of a new era for humanity, a time when they would defend the galaxy against all threats, from within and beyond. The Warbeasts would continue to fight at their side, ensuring that the legacy of Earth's victory would never be forgotten. The galaxy now knew that when humanity stood united, nothing could stand in their way. And as the stars twinkled overhead, humanity looked to the future with hope and determination, knowing that no matter what challenges awaited them, they would face them together.